NFTs are back with multiple hype mints this week. The biggest gaming token launch is finally happening, and Becker gives us another update on his very delayed meme coin. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another end of the week Crypto Gorilla video. As usual, I'm not a financial advisor. Hit that subscribe button and let's jump right into it. Starting with NFTs, we had a ton of mints happen this week. The major theme amongst the main three is that you don't get your NFTs. They're using a buy now, trade later strategy where this works really well for the team if they manage to sell out, but you're taking away the advantage of having a guaranteed whitelist where before you were able to see, is this thing tradable on the secondary market? Now you kind of have to go in blind, purely conviction based, or just taking a gamble, and the team gets to raise all of their money, and then you are left at the whims of the team whenever they decide to launch and potentially holding the bag. So I'm not the biggest fan of this strategy, but I could understand why a lot of projects are doing it. So the first mint that we had this week was Mibera. It was being criticized as being pretty expensive, especially compared to a lot of the other Berachain NFT launches that we've seen in terms of floor price. This was at 33 Bera, which at the time was $200, so already expensive. However, with the pump that we've seen up 42% in the last week, this is now closer to $300 per NFT. So it did manage to sell out. So congratulations to the team. The one thing I don't like, which I don't know if this is real, however, we have here, I can't wait to see what I pull on 4/20. On April 20th is potentially the first time that we actually get to see our NFTs. So that's a very long time, and you lose a lot of momentum in the meantime. So I assume the team is aware of this and they have things planned in between, some marketing, some things to bring attention to the collection. Either way, I minted, so I'm in this one, win or lose. The second one that we saw was, of course, Final Bosu, which is an anime project on Abstract. And in my Friday video, my criticism was that the mint price and supply were too high, so I wasn't expecting this thing to just fly off the shelves, as it is a risky mint. However, same thing, they have multiple phases here, and we just had the pre-order phase, which was like a guaranteed round. Next, we have the pre-order round 2, which is first come first serve, and then later on there's going to be a public round. So this is going to take potentially multiple weeks before you're able to trade it, because I believe the public round is only in early April. And the other thing, like I said, this is an 8,888 collection. They sold roughly 25%, which after asking the team, they said these are the numbers they were expecting because they didn't give out that many guaranteed spots. And I have no way of verifying if that information is valid or not. However, for an outsider looking at this, this does seem like a failed mint. So it doesn't bode well for the project. I'm not saying it's going to fail. I minted, so I'm hopeful that it does succeed. But somebody who's unaware of the mechanics that they're using might just think, oh, there's no demand for this collection. Why would I mint in public? So I think communication is going to be very key for this project, and I would love to see them release numbers just to show, hey, 90% of people minted their guaranteed spot. The third and most hype one is, of course, Taproot Wizards. Same thing, at the time of filming this video, they are not tradable, so I have no idea what the floor price is going to be. Trading is starting today at 10 a.m. Eastern. So by the time you watch this, you're already going to know. It was an expensive mint price at 0.2. They also held an auction, which was starting at 0.42 and went down, and it did sell out at 0.31. So this is very bullish for the project. And my expectation was that it would be around 0.3 because that was the cost of having 2 cats, not counting being able to flip them after, even though the cats, from my understanding, are still locked up if you use them to get whitelist. So when they get unlocked, I do imagine we're going to see a dump in the price of cats. They did dump a bit under 0.1, so it's nice to see them come back here at 0.12. But 0.3, I would be happy. 0.4 would be great. But where I really think these are going to shine is going to be in the rares and the rare trait sales. I think we're going to see some fat premiums on some rares. So that's something I'm looking forward to, despite any criticisms I had about how much money this project was raising, which I still fully stand by. Now, thankfully, not every single project used this strategy. We did have some that were tradable on day one. The first is Kindred AI, which was a free mint, 1,000 supply, so really not bad. And these did decently well. It started off slow, but they did work their way up all the way to near 0.3, which is great for a project on Abstract, currently sitting at 0.2. And the biggest question I'm getting is, hey, should I flip this or hold on to it? Look, I have no way of knowing. The main utility that they have is that there's going to be a kin token airdrop. It's an AI project that have a lot of great IP partners, but we have no idea what the demand and value of the kin token is going to be, as well as the size of the airdrop. So you have to ask yourself, are you more comfortable taking $400 of guaranteed profits if you mint it for free? Or do you want to gamble waiting for the token drop to see if you get a bigger airdrop, so more than $400 from the token? But either way, nice to see this project perform well, especially that it's on Abstract. We also had Arkai, which is a project on Movement. And look, I submitted an EVM wallet for this project. So even I messed up here. It seems very complicated to get a movement wallet. Definitely something they need to work on, but I did expect these to perform better. The Move token is around 50 cents and they're currently trading at around 200. So around $100 floor. Actually, you can see it right here. $100, $100, $92. So definitely not as high of a floor as I thought these would have. I heard they were selling for a lot of money on the whitelist OTC markets, but it was still a free mint. So $100 for free, you can't complain. As for upcoming mints, we have one happening today, which is Quills, which this is like the flagship project for Somnia. So I do expect it to perform well. It's a 3,333 supply collection with a mint price of $84 or 0.042 ETH because it is minting on ETH, even though it's a Somnia NFT. I assume they're going to bridge later, but I do think these can do well considering it is the main NFT of Somnia. After that, the main one everybody's waiting for, which is happening next week on, look, I hope this is true, April 1st, unless it's an April Fool's joke and it's not actually happening, but Steady Teddies, which unfortunately I do feel they lost some of their hype. I remember these whitelists or the guaranteed whitelist was selling for $2,000 to $3,000, and now they're only selling for $700. So they have seemed to lost hype, but I do think these are going to cook because the mint price is so cheap. They are not greeding out with this collection. I think the only area the FUD is going to come in is that the first come first serve round is so over allocated. People are going to be mad about that. I think the final first come first serve round, because there's multiple, I think it has something like 50,000 wallets. So that is going to make some people quite upset who think they're about to automatically cook on this NFT. After that, we have monsters.fun finally announcing their first token, Blazecock, which is basically like a Charmander, but a chicken. He's the fire type. And while this is not an NFT, if you have whitelist, you're going to be able to purchase the token before anyone else. And if this platform is successful, which is an on-chain gaming / AI project that a lot of people are hyped about, if this does well, the first token normally performs the best. So if you have whitelist for this, if it's going to succeed, this is the one you want to have whitelist for, and then everybody else FOMO's in. It's on Abstract, which is always risky, but the good news for Abstract is there's multiple meme coins that are performing well in the recent weeks. So that's great to see that people are actually trading tokens on this platform. And then finally, I did notice Ameer, who's an OG NFT YouTuber from the previous cycle, he posted, I am doing a big free mint and airdrop for a famous billion-dollar cartoon brand. Whitelist goes to everybody who interacts and joins this Telegram. And he did post some videos to, there's one, yeah, this one is about the project just to prove it's not hacked. He didn't sell his account or anything like that. So here he's saying he did actually make a deal with some cartoon brand. There's actually going to be an NFT. I haven't spoken to him about it, but it's a free mint, so definitely something I would check out. After that, in existing NFT project news, we have Azuki finally launching the pre-sale for their trading card game alpha starter decks. These are really cool. I would love to get one. I don't have an Azuki, so I'm not eligible. However, if somebody wants to sell me one, or if the team, if you guys want to send me one or even sell me one, I'll pay for it. I'll put it up here on display for free and I'll open it on stream. But I really like this kind of stuff. So great to see that they're rolling this out. I do imagine it's going to be flippable on the secondary market. After that, we have the rumors for Karafuru that it's sold, which I believe back in like December, we started to hear rumors that they sold the project. As you can see, Karafuru has been acquired. Now the floor, while it's up, it didn't do anything crazy. I believe in December, when we first had the rumors, it went even higher. It went 2x than where the current floor is with the confirmed news of this. It's kind of been down only since then. But I assume the thing people are expecting to come out of this is a token, which that meta has really died down. Like, why would anybody buy a token for an NFT if the NFT itself doesn't have that much demand? It's really going to depend who bought this, what their plans are. Like these could be at 1 ETH in a week from now for all I know. But I do feel this meta is dying down, and we are seeing this in the performance of Doodles, which are still under 3.5, even though today or yesterday, by the time you watch this video, they announced the DreamNet, basically the utility for the Dude token, which I assume means it's getting closer and closer. Now, I did not read through all of this. I threw it in ChatGPT just to get a TLDR. It does seem to be like a story-based chain where you're able to create these avatars and bring these worlds to life, and you're going to be able to have your own token, and it's going to be backed by the Dude token, and it has stuff to do with like AI agents. There's going to be AI tooling and world creation. But again, I think the fact that it's attached to an NFT, there's not as much demand, and people are kind of fed up after the performance of Pengu and Anime. But I'm still holding 2 Doodles. We'll see how this performs. I was considering picking up a third just to lower my entry here, because the 2 that I did not flip, I bought in higher than current prices. So I would love to see this. I want to know a launch date. Is it going to be launching soon? Ideally in April, but this one has not panned out the way I was hoping that it would. Jumping into the token side of things, we are finally getting the Gun token, which is of course by Gunzilla, the creators of Off the Grid. And according to this article by Binance, it is going to be going live on the 31st, which I believe is Monday. So very exciting that we're finally getting this token. Exciting that it's launching through Binance on day 1. They also have Coinbase as an investor, so I imagine it's also going to get a very quick listing on Coinbase. Who wouldn't want that trading volume? And I know there was a lot of talk around how they potentially dropped the ball not launching the token during the streamer campaign that they did with Ninja, Tim the Tatman, and all those guys. And while back then I agreed, I gotta say, having jumped back into the game in the past week or two, I really like it, and I feel they're in a much better place now that they've established a strong player base. They have guilds that have formed around the game, and we're actually seeing people spend real money in order to acquire equipment as well as different skins in the game. This skin set here going for $3,500, and you have to do all this stuff OTC because the mainnet isn't launched yet. Yes, you can buy this stuff using the testnet guns in game, and testnet guns is currently selling for $5 per 1,000 tokens. But nevertheless, it's cool seeing people spend real money buying equipment similar to games like CSGO, where this happens all the time. So I have no idea where this token is going to land. I'm hoping it's above 1 bill FDV. For the sake of gaming, I hope it's above 1 bill FDV. Look, if it launches, I don't think it's going to spark this crazy gaming bull run that a lot of people are hoping for. But I think if it launches and it's down bad, it's going to be very bad for gaming, and we're going to see a lot of people abandon their gaming bags and worried for future launches like Chronoforge and Avalon and different stuff that potentially some of us invested in. Now, there is another game that also announced that they're going to be going to TGE soon, and that is Raven Quest. I have not jumped into this one. It's not exactly my type of game. They didn't say what the date is for their Quest token. I imagine they didn't expect Gunzilla to be launching next week, so maybe that threw a wrench in their plans. But ideally, both tokens succeed, right? I don't want to see a PvP between 2 gaming tokens when the gaming market is already struggling. I just want to see all gaming rise together. So even though I have zero exposure to this, I really hope it does do well. I hope there's a nice airdrop for both games. I hope I get an airdrop for Gunzilla, even though I'm not expecting there to be. And then in some non-gaming token news, we got brand new tokenomics for Redacted. If you remember a couple of weeks ago, there was some FUD. A lot of people were upset. A lot of the KOLs who invested were upset that at the last minute, after having waited a year, they had a 3-month cliff added on to their terms, and that's considering there was 18 months of vesting. So looking at the new terms here, the longest is going to be the seed and strategic round, which I'm in at 9 months. So it was cut in half from 18 to 9, and the cliff is now only 1 month. Now, I did do some moon math, which again, it's moon math, okay? I have no idea if it's even capable of hitting 150 mil, especially with all the FUD around it and upset people. If it is, this is what it would look like to get your money back, your initial investment. And this is considering your unlock is at the end of the month, because if it's at the beginning of the month, you get your initial here, 1 month cliff, and then the unlocks start at the beginning of the month. So it would only be 1 month for these ones. And these ones, I guess, technically, no, this one is still 3. But let's just say it's at the end of the month, okay? It would take anywhere from 2 to 3 months to break even at 150 mil FDV. And all these rounds would anywhere from 2 to 4x your initial investment. This is also with $1,000. So look, I'm just having fun. I see some people on Twitter getting mad. Why are you saying it's 150 mil FTV? I don't know, because I didn't feel like putting 70 mil and saying like, hey, you're going to break even after 3 months. Okay. That's why. So hopefully this does well. Unfortunately, it has been delayed till early April, and the Jira holders did not like that because it is now under 0.3, which, it's at $600. You get a 25% unlock of the token day one. If it's at 100 mil FDV, you're getting $250 day one. That pays for like 40% of the NFT, and the NFTs aren't going to go to zero. So I'm probably going to have to buy some just to even my entry here, because I'm down 50% on my purchases. I could have flipped for 1.5x. Instead, I am down 50%, which is unfortunate, but glad that they changed the terms and made it a little bit better for investors, even though obviously I want more money day one. Now, we did get a couple of token launches that already happened this week. The first one is Nil for Nillion, which, full disclosure, I have no idea what this chain even does, but they did get a Binance listing. So that's great. It's currently at 620 mil FDV. It seems to have launched at around 880 mil. So it is down, but holding decently well. We also had the Mint token for Mintify, which is an NFT exchange. It didn't do the best in my opinion. It kind of had a pump and dump and then went all the way down to 10 mil, traded sideways for a few days. And then they had this announcement yesterday that they'd be using a portion of the revenues generated from trading fees to do some buybacks and grow the rewards pool over time, which I imagine burning would be better rather than just giving out tokens and people are just going to dump them. And look, this did cause a pump, even though there was probably some market making going on here because it went really high just for this kind of announcement. My issue here is that the trading volume that they get is very low. Like, they are capturing a very small percent of the market. Here you can see 1,000 ETH in trading volume. So I'm not sure what their revenue is on that. Let's pretend it's 1%. That's 10 ETH or $20,000 at current prices. Better than zero, right? Better than nothing. But they're using that money to buy back the token. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough to sustain. We really need to see the NFT market do a major comeback here in order for them to have a lot more revenue to pump this token. After that, we have Shape. If you remember this chain, it was like the artist chain where I was showing you guys how to collect medals on this chain in order to enter a bunch of artist raffles for like X copy and stuff. They just announced a token called Shape. And if you look at this article, it does seem like we are going to be getting an airdrop based on how many medals that we've earned. So I've gone back to collecting medals here and trying to work my way up the leaderboard. I'm currently 71 on the leaderboard. I'm hoping I get a decent airdrop. The major question is, what's the demand going to be for this token, right? It's an artist chain. I have no idea what it's going to be, but again, free money. I'm not complaining. Now, speaking of airdrops, I think there's a lot of stuff you can grind right now. Of course, we have the shipment crates on Opensea where you can earn XP. There are 3 more upcoming. We have no idea what they are. I'm hoping one of them is going to be for Ronin, because Ronin NFTs were finally added to Opensea just this week. And if you're tweeting about this kind of stuff, don't forget that on Zentry, you are getting rewards for tweeting about the different chains that are available on this platform. They also just added 2 meme coins. So if you were trading these meme coins, if you were flexing your bag and getting engagement from that, it could have gotten you free points on their Nexus platform. But as you can see, Ronin is one of the major topics on this platform. So just by tweeting and specific people engaging with your tweets, which they're always looking to engage with Ronin tweets, you are earning points for their platform. So anytime you see major news come out of Ronin or Zentry or Sofon or any of these projects, you could take advantage by tweeting about them. Now, maybe I'm going to make a video about the top airdrops to farm because there's so much. I'm seeing a lot of people talk about Wayfinder, about Ethos. I just saw that Myriad is going to be doing their token soon, and this is like a prediction market that you could make bets on for fun. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity if you're willing to put in the work. But then the biggest free opportunity out there is going to be Becker's Memecoin. The downside here is he keeps delaying and delaying. Like, I know the market sucks. I know he was going to launch with Meteora, and there was a lot of FUD around the Meteora meme coin, so maybe he's trying to delay. Now he's saying his meme coin is going to drop when ETH hits 3,500, which right now ETH's a stable coin. Like, these prices are potentially months away, maybe multiple quarters away before we see ETH at 3,500. But once ETH does hit 3,500, he's going to be doing a whitelist competition where 3,000 to 10,000 people are going to be able to go on. And this is the only way to get the token pre-market. So I know this is disappointing, especially for people who were grinding all those really weird, annoying tasks. But you know, at least now you have an indication of when it's going to be. All you have to look for is for ETH to almost 2x from current prices. So I'll keep you in the loop if he releases more information about this. But as for that, that's the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, would you kindly hit that subscribe button, smash that bell notification. Thank you for watching another Crypto Gorilla video. Peace.